Today, I'll show you how to accidentally tear down your classmate's 500S engine, and then accidentally learn how to perform air filter maintenance, spark plug maintenance, and even earn a labor fee from your classmate. First of all, introduce your girlfriend to your classmate. Have her charm him into giving up his Wi-Fi key. Open the rear seat cushion. There are two things inside. One is the OBD interface. This is where you diagnose vehicle faults. The other is the lean angle sensor. If your classmate owes you money but still bought a 500S, here's how to pull a prank. This thing is directional. If you install it sideways, it makes the bike think it has tipped over. This triggers the protection mechanism, and it won't start. Now, for the main seat, how do we remove it? There are two fixing bolts here. Prepare a T30 wrench. Using an electric tool will make it faster. Once the two bolts are removed, you can take off the seat to replace the battery. Next, let's talk about removing the fairings. Start with this piece. There is one bolt here, one bolt at the front, and three more down here. These all use a T30 wrench. This part on the side is a clip. The fit and finish of the 500S's exterior is quite well done. You can see for yourself on site. After 3 bolts and 1 clip are dealt with, you can remove this side trim. Unsnap it from the bottom up. Once you reach this spot, don't pull up anymore. You need to pull it backward. That's how you remove the side trim. The left side also has 3 bolts and 1 clip. Use the same removal method. Next, remove the fuel tank. There are 2 bolts on the fuel tank that require a 10mm wrench. In these 2 positions, T30 bolts are used. There are 2 on the opposite side as well. Just take them out along with this side piece. After these 6 bolts are removed, there is another bolt at this position and its opposite side. Remove both of those. Those also use a T30 wrench. This is a 4mm small wrench. Remove all the fixing bolts. For the fuel tank cap, then, directly remove the fuel cap. Next, remove the fuel tank decorative cover. There are 2 more fixing bolts at the front. Use a 10mm socket wrench to remove them. Before removing the tank, I want to give you 2 specific warnings, especially for those with good DIY skills but little disassembly experience. Don't rush into pulling the tank off blindly. If you're too hasty, it's very easy to snap the fuel pump connector. So, first lift the tank slightly. Squeeze both sides of the connector and pull back to disconnect the fuel line. Then, unplug the level sensor connector and the fuel pump connector. Disconnect these 2 hoses as well. Alright, now you can remove the fuel tank. Next, you can replace the air filter yourself. For the airbox, this ring of screws just requires a Phillips head screwdriver. Open the top cover, and you'll see the air filter. It's secured by 3 screws. After unscrewing these 3, the air filter element can be taken out. And just like that, you've learned how to change the air filter yourself. CFMOTO made these triangular cutouts here. What are they for? Now you know. They are for accessing the air filter clamps. There are 4 clamps in total. Loosen them up. The 3 on the right are reached from this side, and the one on the left is reached through the left triangle. There are 2 hoses behind the airbox that I've already unplugged. You need to unplug these first. Lift the rear of the airbox first. Then disconnect the 2 soft ram air intake connectors. Once the airbox can be lifted higher, unplug the 2 breather hoses and the solenoid valve connector. This way, the entire airbox can be lifted out. The lower guard doesn't even need to be removed. These are the 2 hoses I just unplugged, plus the air return valve connector on top. At this stage, you can replace the ignition coils and spark plugs yourself. Each ignition coil is marked. 1 is for cylinder 1, 4 is for cylinder 4, don't mix them up. If you want to clean the throttle bodies, at this point, pull the throttle bodies off. The connection between the throttle bodies and the engine also has clamps. Loosen them and pull out the throttle bodies. This black component is the carbon canister, and next to it is the purge valve. This unit mounted upside down is the rectifier, used for power generation. If the bike's charging is abnormal, check the stator and check this. This is its battery. The 500S uses a lithium battery. Here is the ECU, which is from Bosch. The 500S uses a Bosch electronic fuel injection system. Moreover, the throttle tuning on this 500S is indeed much smoother. I have a 500S R2, right? These 2 bikes, when ridden side by side, feel completely different. The tuning progress is quite significant. Look at these high-pressure hoses. The wire routing has been organized. The bike's plumbing and wiring are laid out quite neatly. Alright, at this stage, regarding the maintenance tasks I just mentioned, you can do them yourself. However, I still recommend that if your DIY skills aren't strong, or if the bike is still under warranty, try to have the work done at a CFMOTO service center. For a long time, people were uneasy about lithium batteries. One reason was the price. The 500S uses a lithium battery. The ones I've given you for the 675 and 450 will also work, and you can use this with peace of mind. The frame part was quite a surprise. The main frame is still steel, but the subframe section is made of aluminum alloy. Look, my magnet won't even stick to it. I specifically asked, and it is indeed aluminum alloy. Next, I'll show you how to remove the large fairing panels. First, let me show you where the screws are. One here, and another one over here. This one is hidden inside. Take note. Try to turn the handlebars all the way to the stop. It's much easier to remove the screw that way. In this position, it's quite difficult to remove. There's one here too. They all use T30 wrenches. And on the inner side, there are 4 in total, from top to bottom. Oh, right, there's another one down here I forgot to mention. The 500S Bodywork mostly uses these flanged bolts. It looks much more high-end, unlike older models that used round-head bolts, which look a bit cheaper. Wherever it's exposed, they've used these flanged bolts. Oh, and I forgot to introduce the ABS module. This ABS unit, like the 450 SR, is from Continental, Germany. Back to the fairings. There's another screw here I missed earlier. Then there are the 4 screws on the inner side, plus the one my finger is pointing at. Once they are all out, the entire side panel can be removed. Overall, I feel the 500S fairings are easy to take apart. Let's look at the inside. The design inside is good. I won't comment on the mesh, it's decorative. But mainly it has heat insulation foam. And for this side panel material, it uses PA6 plus GF15. I'll show you some data on it. I won't over-explain, since most bikes today use ABS plastic. It's better that CFMOTO chose this material. There's a material stamp here too. The insulation foam is mainly where the knee sits. Indeed, 4-cylinder engines run a bit hotter. This foam is great for the rider's comfort. In this bike's riding position, the knees are closest to the engine. Adding insulation at this spot is quite thoughtful. So I feel the trim on the clutch cover isn't just for decoration. It likely serves as a heat shield too. The left side panel is removed the same way, so no need to dwell on it. Material and insulation foam are the same as the right side. Now, if you want to remove the headlight, for those working on the headlight, I'll mention it briefly. Our focus is on the engine, so I won't go into detail on this part. Removing this panel requires a bit of technique. It's hard to remove by force. Pry tools are easy to buy, right? Pry from this position. Pry it up enough to get a finger in. Then pull it. Lift the back up. Pull down, and the panel comes out. There is also some vibration dampening foam here, to prevent fairing rattles. This S shape isn't from the seat. It's like that from the factory. Next, rotate the mirrors to this position. There are 2 fixing screws underneath. Both mirrors are the same, plus these 2 bolts. The left side follows the same principle. This makes the headlight and instrument cluster easy to remove. Under the right side panel, there are 2 things. One is the BCM, body control module, and the other is the T-box. Smart connectivity features with your phone are all related to the T-box. Look at the wiring under the side panel. It's also quite orderly. Everything is fixed and tied, as it should be. I don't need to introduce the calipers, do I? We're used to calling them Nissan. Some media call them Rishine. These calipers are pretty good. Front suspension. Let's take a look. It's from Yuan. The focus is a bit off, but you can tell it's Yuan. Shocks. Now, we're heading for the engine. The intake duct has 7 fixing screws. Use a T30 wrench. The material isn't nylon. It's steel plate. Remove the ram air duct. To make it easier to remove the radiator and lift the engine, many riders are curious if there's a filter inside the ram air duct. In fact, almost no bike has one. I checked the 500S, and it doesn't either. There's just a mesh screen at the front. Moving to the left side to continue. Drain the coolant before lifting the engine. There is a drain bolt on the water pump. The drain bolt has a distinct feature. It almost always comes with an aluminum or copper washer. Unplug the radiator hose on the right, then go back to the left. Remove the radiator's fixing bolt, and the radiator can come off. Look, the cooling fan is from Panasonic. Even though it's a single fan design, this fan is quite large. See my hand? I can barely span it. Remove the gear shifter. Then, pull out the overflow and vent hoses. This makes the sprocket cover easier to remove. Otherwise, it's a pain. Let's take a look at the 500S's chain. It uses a Jinghe 520 X-ring. It's decent. A better one would be an SX2. It's better than the Honda 500's chain. The Honda 500 actually uses a CHHO chain, which is the lowest grade 520. The front sprocket has a rubber damper. Preparing to remove the exhaust. Look at this exhaust nut. It has 2 notches on top. I specifically looked this up. It's called a double-slotted self-locking nut. Now you know what to look for when picking nuts. Remove all 8 of these nuts. Then, on both sides of the exhaust collector, there are 2 fixing bolts. No need to remove the rear section. Just remove the clamp here. Friendly reminder, please don't modify the exhaust. To create a better riding environment, I hope everyone will consciously avoid loud, modified exhausts. Look at the oxygen sensor. It's from Bosch. This part of the front frame can be removed, which is very helpful for pulling the engine. The left side is removed the same way. Then, start removing the engine mounting bolts. Note the small decorative cover. Pull it straight out. The engine's rear mounting bolt is hidden behind it. Then, remove these two bolts to take off this small bracket. Next, the clutch cable must be removed. Otherwise it will interfere with the engine removal. This is quite simple. Just two fixing bolts. Also, there is a ground wire here. The ground wire screw must be removed. The starter motor's positive cable also needs to be disconnected. Unplug the 4 ignition coil wires. No need to label them, as CFMOTO has already labeled them for you. And there's another ground wire here that needs to be removed. You don't need to take the throttle bodies out to pull the engine. Just loosen them. Finally, we can take the engine out. Give me a little boost. Since you've watched this far, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And with that, the engine is out. Congratulations, you've learned how to tear down an engine. Now, you can put his engine in the bushes and let him go find it. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Next up, the engine teardown video.